In the last video, we went over simple strategies that you can use to get better at drawing. And this time, we're putting them into practice. And to do that, we're drawing skulls. It wouldn't be a drawing channel without some actual drawing, would it? So let's do this. So I made a recording of myself drawing skulls, and I'm going to let that play as I talk about the 7 simple strategies that we talked about in the previous episode and how that can really transform your drawing, get you to focus, and be consistent. If you want to make consistent effort, you have to build a strong drawing habit. The easiest way we can do that is by using implementation intention, which I used to get started drawing here. To make a long-lasting drawing habit, you usually have to follow the 4-step model for making habits, which is cue, craving, response, reward. Implementation intention sort of bypasses that. We'll touch on them more in future videos, but implementation intention is kind of a quicker hack without totally using that entire process. Following another piece of advice from James Clear, my drawing habit usually takes place in the morning because it's easier to get the hardest thing out of the way the first time that you sit down to work during the day. A month ago, I would only draw for 30 minutes, and now I'm drawing at least for an hour or more. My goal is to go for a 2-hour session at the very least, and do a second 2-hour session later in the day. Possibly a third. I like the shorter sessions. It lets you get up and not spend so much time sitting and getting cramped. You also get a fresh take of your work if you're working on a really long piece. You know, if 2-hour drawing sessions, so 4 hours doesn't sound like a lot to you for drawing each day, you know, you need to evaluate how much time you have during the day. I'm trying to build a business. You may have school, or maybe you are trying to build a business as well. 4 hours a day is plenty of time to make significant improvements. So the only problem that I've found with implementation intention is one small problem can derail your entire day. There have been many times where I was first starting to implement this technique and life just got in the way. I had to do groceries, doctor run. You know, if you tell yourself you're going to draw at 10 o'clock in the morning, but you always have stuff to do at 10 o'clock in the morning, it makes it difficult to actually follow through. You have to learn to adapt and maneuver your schedule like a productivity chameleon, except I haven't yet. Implementation intention doesn't work well when you're trying to build multiple habits, and because I'm trying to build a business and do many other things, if I miss the implementation intention, it can make it very hard to actually follow through. I struggle with implementation intention a little bit more just because I have so many other things that I'm trying to do, like make these videos for you, for example. You may have multiple things that you have to tackle, so that's why implementation intention is a way to get started. But you should use all the tools of making a habit so that that's much stronger. And I said before, we will get into those in later videos. Getting started is the hardest part, so if you can do this, this is great. The last thing that I've only recently started doing is tracking my habit. That can actually help you when you do have hiccups here and there and you miss certain times, because you know how much that you've improved and how much you've really put into making this habit. If you haven't been drawing for a year, but now you're drawing, 2 days a week consistently, you want to be able to be proud of that practice. And the only way you're going to really keep track of that is if you track your progress. It's a reminder to how much you've improved over time. We have our old sketchbooks that we can look at, or old sketches if you're a digital artist. You have old Photoshop files. But it's hard to remember if we were consistent with our drawing. I don't leave a time and date stamp on every single one of my drawings, so I don't remember when I drew something. Or for how long I spent studying. So it's good to track that habit somewhere. And now we get to the drawing part. The first part is drawing from reference. You need to create a visual library of things that already exist. I'm drawing skulls here. I need to know what a skull looks like in order to draw it. All of these right now that I'm drawing are from imagination. Drawing from reference also trains your observational skills. Research on learning tells us that we don't actually break down and draw what we see, we only draw what we know. This is why typically you see beginners draw something like the portrait, and they don't draw what's in front of them, they draw the symbols of what they remember about portraits. So they draw a symbol of an eye, which is usually, that almond shape with a circle in it. They know that that's the symbol of an eye, but not what an eye actually looks like and how it's supposed to be drawn. Breaking free from those symbols is actually one of the first challenges that you face as a new artist. Drawing from memory is our second step. You draw from memory to build a visual library, and you draw from memory to reinforce that information and teach yourself to retrieve that information so you can use it anytime you want. Drawing from memory should be done at least 24 hours after the original drawing. This is so that we forget a little bit. It's also, the practice is called spaced learning, which is another thing we'll get into. There's a lot, guys, I'm not gonna lie, but it doesn't feel like a lot once you know it all. At the beginning, there's a lot to know. Basically, the idea is if you want to improve the retrieval strength of something, you have to allow yourself to forget it a little bit. And our brains actually pick up more than we realize. And when you allow yourself to forget a little bit, sometimes your subconscious starts bubbling up things to the surface that you didn't think you observed, but you actually learned. And that is why we wait before we try and retrieve it and draw things from memory. Maybe I didn't notice the way that the jaw tapered in, but my subconscious picked it up, and when I draw from memory, the jaw actually looks better in the memory drawing than it did on the one that I drew from reference. Typically, a lot of my drawings from memory will be better than the ones that I drew from studies, also because sometimes when you're drawing from studies, you're a little bit more rigid. When you're drawing from memory, there's a little bit more freedom in the way that you're making marks. The last step, of course, is drawing from imagination. It's what we all want to get to. You get to create your own designs, and that's what I've been doing most of this video, and we're back to that now. I just wanted to create skulls based on shapes, so I started just using basic shapes and combining them and trying to make unique skull shapes. I wasn't totally successful, but I was successful in making a skull, and that is the whole point. And I'll get better at making character designs with those skulls, but I feel like it was successful in many other ways as well. So you win some, you lose some, and you learn, you go back and review, and you come back, and you learn a little bit more each time. Your drawings get a little bit better each time. It's all about that 1% improvement. You just keep moving forward. Not every one of these drawings was successful, and you just have to remember that last bonus strategy is to be kind to yourself. When you fail, if you're in the process of failing as you draw, be kind to yourself. Tell yourself you can get this. If you tell yourself that it's just going to keep being bad and you can't do it, you won't. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have to believe in yourself. Give yourself credit. Be kind to yourself. If you fail, don't be mean to yourself. Be kind. If you want to be a character concept artist or an environment artist, this is the kind of learning that you need to succeed. These simple strategies can help you forge a path to be the kind of artist that can draw anything. You'll have the freedom to take an idea from your imagination and manifest it into reality. I didn't used to study this way. I spent 8 years studying mostly from reference. I'm coming at this again, backed with 8 years of experience, but this time with knowledge and science and lots of research, knowing that I can accomplish what I want the right way and help you do it too. I want to help you achieve a successful art journey that has a healthy, creative process so you don't have to go through any of the growing pains that I had to. Don't get me wrong, learning to draw and paint and become an artist is still going to be tough. But now you have the tools to get started and make this journey an efficient one. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Bye.